the world's top climate change experts. Now, Mr. Verdier claims in the book Climate Investigation that leading climatologists and political leaders have taken the world hostage with misleading data. Now, notice how these wonderful, all-inclusive, all-accepting, wonderful leftists get so upset when you don't agree with them. They're so open-minded and so welcoming and so accepting until you disagree with them. And then when you disagree with them, oh man, they will do everything in their power to shut you up. Now, you know that's true. You've probably experienced it firsthand. In a promotional video, Mr. Verdier said, "Every night I address 5 million French people to talk to you about the wind, the clouds, and the sun. And yet there is something important, very important, that I haven't been able to tell you because it's neither the time nor the place to do so." He then added, "We are hostage to a planetary scandal over climate change, a war machine whose aim is to keep us in fear." Ba-dum-bum. I knew I was right. You knew I was, well, most of you who are listening knew I was right too. I told you this was not about climate change. And you can go back and listen to any episode that I talk about climate change, and you will know that I have always stood by the fact that this whole notion that man-made climate change is a farce. It's a fake. It's been faked. It's been fudged. The numbers are wrong. The numbers are purposefully been fudged. And it's all been for control. And how do you get control? By causing people to be or live in fear. And thus, if they are fearful of something, they will turn to, you as their savior. Which what? Gives you control. So if the world is afraid that their whole world is going to be destroyed by climate change that is caused by them, they are going to give you the what? The power to make the changes to keep everybody safe and the planet whole. And they will willingly give up their freedom so you keep them safe. Because you instilled fear. False fear, but fear nonetheless, it's still fear. And this French weatherman just hit it out of the park, and he's being punished severely for it. Now, basically, I bet you this guy's just been fired. He's been summarily dismissed, and he will probably never work he will not be a weatherman, on air anywhere in France ever again. Unless he goes on TV or something or releases a statement that says, "I am sorry, I was wrong, I was misinformed, but now I have been taught all the true facts, and I was wrong, I am sorry, and I will be good boy now." His outspoken views led France Channel 2 to take him off the air starting this Monday. He said, "I received a letter telling me not to come into work." I'm in shock. Now, this is a direct extension of what I say in my book, namely that any contrary views must be eliminated. I don't know. Well, he's a brave guy. I don't know what he was thinking, how he was going to get. He must have known that it was probably going to end his career if he did that. And so if he knew that it was going to somehow end his career, well, how fervent of a belief must he have in what he said? Think about that. I mean, would as many, I'm going to ask this question. of all of these so-called scientists who are doing these climate change studies and trying to prove, without any factual evidence, so trying to prove that mankind is the absolute unequivocal cause of global climate change, would they stand behind it if the winds changed and the vast majority of people and government agencies did not any longer believe in climate change? But if they got on the air, and if all of the all the TV channels and everything became ultra conservative, would those people still believe in what they are saying so much that they know for a fact if they say something contrary, that by saying that there is global warming, when everybody believes that there isn't any global warming, would they still say it? I guarantee you most of them would not, because it isn't about the facts, and they would not be able to back up their facts because their facts have been faked. Well, that's kind of an oxymoron, because if it's a fake fact, then it's not a fact. That's why we call it pseudoscience. In other words, fake science. Fake science is ruling the roost right now. Now, you can say something is true when it's not. And you can probably get enough people to believe eventually, if you say it enough times, that it is true, even though it's not. That still doesn't make it true. You can say that gravity doesn't exist. That doesn't change the fact that what we know as gravity is still there. And you can say that the science is that, that's only 100 light years away. We can get there in a year. Doesn't change the fact that if we don't have an engine and a spacecraft to get us there, that we're not going to get there in a year. You can say anything you want and convince people. There could be a consensus from science. Yeah, science is not based on consensus. You can have a consensus that, there's going to be a volcano eruption in downtown L.A. sometime in the next year. And then it doesn't happen. But you had scientific consensus of most of the world's so-called legitimate scientists agree that there was going to be a volcano in downtown L.A. within the next 12 months. And in month 13, there's no volcano. So I guess science is not consensus. So in other words, consensus is not science, and consensus is not fact. And oftentimes, consensus is not even based on fact. Because, hey, 600 or 700 years ago, the consensus was that the earth was flat. The scientific consensus of the day was the earth was flat. But it wasn't. So even if you have this so-called stupid scientific consensus that man is causing global climate change, it's not factual, and we're not. Don't even get me started on this consensus crap, let me tell you. Hey, New York Post. This was something rather interesting that came across my newsfeed. NYPD, New York's finest. Trust me, this is not anti-cop, but it's you could say it's anti-government if you want to, but it's just exposing the government, and that's a double entendre here if you understand what I'm about to tell you. NewYorkPost.com, NYPD has super secret X-ray vans. Yeah, they got Superman's X-ray vision. Police Commissioner Bill Bratton won't let the NYCLU or anyone else bully him for details. Bully him? For details on the NYPD's super secret X-ray van. What? Bully? So the public's right to know of what they're paying for and what they're. This is not for national security here. This is, not the military. This is the New York PD, police department. So the commissioner says, well, I'm not going to let anybody bully me to get the details. The top cop was asked Tuesday about the counter-terror vehicles called Z backscatter vans in light of the NYCLU's request to file an amicus brief arguing that the NYPD should have to release records about the X-ray vans. Well, what can these vans do? They're not used to scan people for weapons, Bratton insisted. Well, no, that's probably exactly what they're doing. When they start insisting they're not using it for one particular reason, and then later it almost always comes out, well, yeah, that's exactly what they did. The devices we have, the vehicles, if you will, are all used lawfully, and if the ACLU and others don't think that's the case, we'll see them in court, where they'll lose. How are you using them then? What's legal about having a van running around that can take pictures through walls? I'm asking the question. I don't know the answer. I don't know what they're using it for down there. This new mayor, de Blasio, I gotta tell you, I'm getting less. I thought Bloomberg was bad. Speaking of Bloomberg, quickly, I've got this story here. Bloomberg, where there is. There's a story where the stars of the Godfather movie, along with 80 other stars, are backing Bloomberg-esque or Bloomberg's gun ban. Really? Well, I can't really find it that fast, so I'll finish this particular before our time is up. Is that they're not? He declined to give more specific details about the devices themselves. Those are issues I'd prefer not to divulge to the public at this time. I will not talk about anything at all about this. It falls into the range of security and counterterrorism activity that we engage in. So, the Z backscatter vehicles, also used by U.S. Customs and Border Protection, can scan for drugs and explosives through a vehicle. Through a wall. It can see you. It's like the stupid X-ray machines or body scanners at the airport that the TSA use. They can see everything. And yet, we're bullying this police commissioner who's supposed to be serving and protecting the public. By the way, while we're having, a bunch of movie actors out there, 80 of them, including some who starred in very violent movies like The Godfather, endorse Bloomberg's gun bans. These people must think we stupid. Honestly.